In this work in progress paper, we show our attempts at using AR to teach fractography, which is an important and difficult subject in materials science. Fractography is the study of the fractured surfaces of materials, and so fractography is a difficult subject for many students because it requires understanding the relationship between the visible phenomena on the surfaces of the materials and the materials' invisible inner structures. We created a first AR application, which was mostly virtual. The system could recognize word cards printed with the names of the materials, and then everything happened on a virtual sample overlaid on top of the card. Then through a simple UI, students could choose the magnitude of the force, as well as the speed of the fragmentation simulation. And after fragmentation, they could observe the internal molecular composition and structure of the material using a zoom gesture on the surface of the virtual model. Students' feedback about this system was good, but the materials science lecturer expressed the idea of using AR as a tool not just to learn about fractography, but also to develop laboratory experimental skills. So we're in the process of creating a second AR system, which is closer to reality, as it requires students to prepare, observe, and break real physical samples as they would normally do in a lab experiment. The second system has four main functions: a preview, an experiment, a microscope, and a review function. The preview function is quite similar to the first AR system, as it mainly shows fractography in the virtual world. However, once the students have been through the preview, they are then required, when they enter the experiment function, to have physical samples which they must take pictures of. So once the system is satisfied that the samples is of adequate quality in terms of its shape, its size, and thickness, then it overlays a virtual sample on top of it. Students are then asked to break their sample and to take more pictures of the pieces. Then in the virtual microscope function of the system, students use the phone camera as a microscope lens by bringing it closer or further away from the sample to change the magnification. And finally, in the review function, students can browse through the pictures that they've taken during the experiment. So we've collected feedback from 87 students. The question we were mainly interested to answer is whether students thought the AR system would be a useful tool to practice and improve their laboratory skills. A fairly large majority of students thought that the visual functions of the system were nice, so that's the preview and the interaction with the virtual samples. However, just a bit less than half of the students said that they were confident that they would be able to prepare samples that the AR system would find adequate. And even less students, 30%, thought that this AR system could help them improve their laboratory skills. So in conclusion, we found that many students seem to view AR as a learning complement on the theoretical rather than the experimental aspects of photography, which is in opposition to how the teacher would like to use AR, with physical samples and as a means to assess the students' laboratory skills. So work continues. We're trying to improve the system, and mainly we're trying to reconcile these two views. Thank you for your attention.